Welcome, viewers, to the latest edition of Casino Life Sports Betting Operator TV. My name's Peter White, and I own this media. And today, we're privileged to be in the Permission Lounge in London's leading leisure and entertainment venue, the Hippodrome. And for our interview, we have Michael Hershman, the Group CEO of Soloviev. Welcome, Michael.
It's good to be with you, Peter. Good afternoon, your time. It's morning, my time.
Indeed, New York. I'd like to, if that's okay, crack on with the first question. Could we commence this interview with an insight into the background of the Soloviev Group?
Of course. The Soloviev Group emanated really from the Solo Realty and Development Company. Sheldon Solo, the patriarch of the family, built a real estate empire in New York City going back to the early 70s. Unfortunately, Sheldon passed away in 2020, and his son, Stefan Soloviev, you might wonder why a different name. The name is actually the original name when his grandfather, Stefan's grandfather, that is, immigrated from Eastern Europe. And Stefan took the name years ago to honor the memory of his grandfather. And he did it with the permission, actually, of his father, Sheldon Solo. But Stefan's interests are much beyond the confines of real estate in New York. We're the 21st largest landowners in the United States with very substantial agricultural ranching holdings. We own railroads and have a hospitality group with hotels and restaurants and wineries. So it's a really diversified business.
Tell us about the 10 billion Freedom Plaza.
It's an integrated resort. A lot of people are talking casino, casino, casino. This is much more than a casino. The parcel that we're planning to develop this on is the largest undeveloped piece of property in Manhattan, which we have owned for more than 20 years. It used to be a power generation plant. And when we first bought it, obviously we disposed of the plant and built on part of it, but the primary parcel is still fully intact. It's 6.7 acres on the East River, 2 blocks south of the United Nations on First Avenue between 38th and 41st Street. Our plan is to develop it as a community center. And when I say that, it's going to have a hotel, really a hotel in a hotel. There'll be 200 VIP suites that will be branded as Banyan Tree. This is a hotel chain that doesn't, at the moment, have any hotels in the United States, but it's very well known for its high-end resorts and wellness centers in Asia and elsewhere. The remainder of the hotel will be branded with our partner, the Mohegans. The Mohegan is the tribe which runs the largest casino in the Northeast in Connecticut. It'll have a event center, of course. It'll have conference rooms. It'll have about 15 food and beverage and retail. Outside of the hotel, and the hotel is above ground, the casino is being built below grade, unobtrusive. It's not don't think Las Vegas casino, although it's large, about 250,000 square feet, you won't even know it's there. If you look at the site from First Avenue, you'll see the hotel, you'll see a park, almost a 5-acre park. You'll see 2 residential towers with 1,350 units, 513 which will be affordable housing. You'll see a museum, which will be a museum and a community center with a museum dedicated to the promotion of freedom and democracy. And so we're providing a lot to the community in addition to the park and the museum and the affordable housing. We'll be donating 2% of our net profits directly back to the community so that they can use it for whatever they like, community beautification projects or school projects or sports events. We know that the community has long suffered a lack of resources and a lack of access to retail and food and beverage in that particular neighborhood.
How important is the local community when developing a project such as Freedom Plaza?
Well, they're critically important. Under the process, there's going to be a community advisory board that will be appointed to hold hearings about each of the applicants. And the community will have, although they don't have a vote on the matter, they will be able to come and speak out during the community advisory board meetings about their wishes and their desires. There is opposition in the community, as there is in every community, about casinos in neighborhoods. But a lot of that opposition is the fear of the unknown. Um, a lot of folks think that don't know the casino environment know it from movies and television, and they think about crime and they think about environmental impacts, and we're trying to educate them because that may have been the case 50 years ago, but casinos bring a lot to a neighborhood, not only good paying jobs. In this case, we'll bring 8,000 good paying jobs to the permanent jobs to the neighborhood, but they increase property values. They enhance security because casinos by their very nature are inherently secure, but the security extends beyond the grounds of the casino to the neighborhood, so that studies show that crime goes down when casinos are built. A good example of this is Las Vegas. When the casinos closed over COVID, the crime rates in Las Vegas went up.
Gaming facilities are a proven effective generator of tax contributing to funds for schools and other public institutions. So, I mean, again, it's another example of the benefit of to New York of these licenses being granted.
Indeed, Peter, we expect to generate over $1 billion a year in tax revenue. But look, New York is not without gaming. New York has lotteries for years,
Yeah.
which has that has contributed literally hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to local education. And we have the largest casino in the world in Manhattan. It's called Wall Street.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
More people have lost money on Wall Street than they have in all casinos around the world combined.
Yeah. Tell us about your partnership with Mohegan Sun. Why Mohegan Sun?
Mohegan Sun is family owned and operated. We both have similar perspectives when it comes to social responsibility and giving back to the community. The other competitors are the well-known, publicly listed Las Vegas giants, the Caesars, the Winds, the Sands, the Hard Rocks. I felt more comfortable engaging with a like-minded family-run organization than a large public company. This is not to denigrate the big casinos. They are important players. They have been extremely successful. They are well run, but it's a different mindset when you're dealing with a public company rather than a family-owned and operated business.
This project is also incorporates a 4.77-acre public park designed by OJB Landscape Architecture. I mean, that's a pretty impressive development to have actually a public park as well.
Indeed, it's a privately owned, publicly accessible park, and we're in the midst right now of forming a community advisory board, which will be in charge of selecting the sort of activities and events they'd like to have on the park. So while we will maintain the park, secure the park, keep up the park, the community will decide what they'd like to see on the park.
Can you tell us about the recent appointment by Soloviev of Michael Balboni as Safety and Security Advisor for the Freedom Plaza?
This was, again, one of our efforts to educate the public, because the public does have concerns, in my judgment, unfounded concerns about crime in casinos. Michael is a former state senator, a former state assemblyman, former deputy secretary for public security in New York State, head of the state police, and finally, chief advisor to two governors on Homeland Security. I wanted to bring him in to not only add expertise to our own team on security and safety surrounding this property, but also to help educate the public on what it will bring. I've met, for example, with the security director of the United Nations, a gentleman, actually he's from Ireland, and he has an extremely important job protecting the diplomats and the property of the United Nations. And I went over with him our plans, and he said that what we're planning to do from a safety and security standpoint will enhance the security in and around the United Nations as well.
I mean, it's clearly a unique and impressive project. What are its key aspects that make Freedom Plaza stand out?
Well, first and foremost, it's in a unique place. The beauty of the site is it overlooks the river, and it is in a neighborhood that doesn't have, as I mentioned earlier, parkland, or a lot of parkland, I should say, doesn't have access to a lot of food and beverage and retail. It's kind of a little bit of a desert within Manhattan, if you will. So we can add a lot to the community. But we do live, 7 members of the Soloviev family live in the neighborhood. They are as concerned and as anyone about what happens in their neighborhood. The youngest is 3 months old, and the oldest is 40. It's a wide range of ages, but they love the community. They work in the community. They relax in the community. They want to see this be done right. And we have a history. If you look at the buildings we've put up in that community or elsewhere in New York, we have a history of building beautiful structures, top line, type quality, and integrating them well into the community setting.
Construction, as we understand it, of Freedom Plaza can commence literally in 2025, subject to agreements. Can you tell us about the project's development phases?
So there's been a change within the last 48 hours in the process. The State Gaming Commission had a hearing 2 days ago, and they laid out a different way of proceeding that will actually delay the awarding of the licenses until at very earliest the end of 2025. The new procedure or process will be each of the applicants will have to go through the zoning process first before and get zoning approval before the applications are even submitted. Once that happens and the applications are submitted, and to give you a feel for the timeline, because of the length of the zoning process, now some of the applicants have to go through different steps in zoning. It's more complicated than what we have to go through because some of the applicants want to build on publicly owned land. And so they have to go through another step in the process called alienation. I know that sounds like something from outer space, but it's a process by which you have to get approval from the New York State Legislature to be able to use those publicly owned lands for private development. We don't have that issue. We will have to go through some modified zoning, but it still takes time. I don't expect now that the applications will be submitted to the state until the first or second quarter of next year. Once that happens, the next step is that the community advisory boards will be appointed. And there are 6 members on each community advisory board in the district in which a applicant is wanting to build. They'll go through months of hearings. Then if you pass the community advisory board stage, it goes to a New York State site selection committee, 5 members appointed by the government. They make the recommendation to the governor on which 3 sites to award the license to. It's very complicated, very time consuming, and unfortunate because it denies New York State and New York City early access to the tax revenue.
How does your organization, how's the Soloviev Group, what's the contribution to a cleaner, greener planet?
That's a very good question. Our site is going to be completely carbon neutral. We will be using as much recyclable building material or non-environmental harmful building material. We'll be seeking approval to recycle or to use water from the East River for our heating and air conditioning. But we're committed to not creating a carbon footprint anywhere on the site.
Impressive. What notable charitable projects has the Soloviev Foundation been involved in recently?
We do have a foundation, and it's a long-standing foundation that we have used to promote social causes. We've given, for example, $1 million for Ukrainian refugee services. We've supported wounded veterans, everything actually from children, disadvantaged children, and promotion of health and education for them, to animal rights. So it's a foundation that has a wide mission to improve society.
Impressive. I mean, and the final question is, what are among the long-term ambitions for Freedom Plaza?
We want Freedom Plaza to be, look, let me take a step back. New York City, like many other large cities, including London, has suffered greatly from COVID. We found businesses have left New York. Residents have moved out of New York. The economics suffered during COVID. We've come out of COVID, but we still face substantial issues in New York. We have a migrant crisis. We have a crime crisis. We're the headquarters of the UN. That means that conflicts in the Ukraine, in Israel and Gaza impact us more than many other cities in the world. We want Freedom Plaza to be revitalizing for New York City. I may be biased. I'm a New Yorker. I do believe that New York is the center of the universe. Others might believe it's London or Paris or Tokyo. But people come from all over the world to visit New York for a variety of reasons: business, entertainment. We have Broadway, shopping, restaurants. In order to stay on top of your game, you keep having to reinvent yourself as a hub for visitors and as an economic engine for, in this case, the state of New York. And we see Freedom Plaza as leading that effort to revitalize New York City and the state of New York.
Fine words, and I have to add that I absolutely love New York as well. So there we are. But I think millions of others do as well. So it's been a pleasure, Michael, and we wish you all the best. And we're going to keep in touch and follow the progress of Freedom Plaza in the months ahead. And wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day, what's left of it.
Thank you very much.